Well, hey everyone. My name is Brandy Gillum, and I am the conference coordinator for the Rocky Mountain Homeschool Conference. And I have with me here Eric Ludy. Eric, thanks so much for joining me today.
Oh, it's such a delight. I'm so excited for this upcoming conference.
It's going to be awesome. So, Eric is the president of Ellerslie. He wears a ton of hats, but he and his wife, Leslie, are one of our amazing keynote speakers that will be joining us June 12th through the 14th at the Denver Marriott Tech Center. So, you guys have a joint keynote for the opening session. You kick things off for us a Thursday morning, Daring to Live for More from 9 to 10:30. Then you guys help us lead into our Marriage Matters track. You have two workshops then, Building an Unbreakable Marriage and Cultivating a Christ-Centered Marriage, which I'm just praying I'm not yelling at my husband during that moment. If I'm being real honest about what conference looks like that's my only goal. I'm like, others will be encouraged. Lord, just please let me not be yelling at that moment. So,
Well, and I'm
Leslie,
I'm sort of hoping I'm not yelling at my wife at that moment too. So I think we can share that in common.
true. So Leslie continues that afternoon with Valiant, becoming a woman of heavenly strength and undivided heart, discovering Jesus as our all in all. Man, powerful teacher. You ladies are not going to want to miss those sessions. You guys are going to have a booth in the exhibit hall just outside of Pint Brothers where people can grab any of your content, which, I mean, how many books have you guys written, Eric? Gazillions?
Yeah, I think we're at 31, so not quite to gazillion, but
But
we
close.
still, yeah.
Pretty close. So how you guys will have a ton of content for you there at the exhibit hall. And then Eric's going to be back with us on Saturday morning for a general session sharing the heart about becoming legendary. So we have an action-packed weekend together with you two. So we're super excited about that. But Eric, tell people kind of what they can expect. Like what's the heart behind the workshops that you're going to be sharing at the Rocky Mountain Homeschool Conference?
Well, it's fun because this particular conference has such a unique topography in our communication topics. Like Daring to Live for More is the ultimate shot in the arm vision for what the Christian life is about, what it means to stand in the midst of this culture today and to represent Jesus well in and through our families, our marriages, and so on. That's always fun. That's just an energetic talk to give, sort of break through the fog banks, tear off those barnacles afresh. Of
Awesome.
course, the marriage theme has been the one that Leslie and I got to, when we first started speaking, it was always on that topic. We're not on marriage, but pre-marriage. So
Sure.
that's what we were known for decades. And so to visit that topic and have a couple sessions is going to be fun. What we do in everything, I mean, basically, we're as predictable as the sun to rise, and that is that we are going to want to give a vision for a stronger version of the Christian life. In everything we do, it's sort of like increase more, more, more. Let's go beyond. Let's go more bold. Let's go more courageous. Let's go more excellence. Let's get more of Jesus
Hmm.
in our lives and through our lives. So no matter what we're talking about here, I could predict ahead of time exactly what the tenor is going to be. It's going to be feisty, it's going to be fiery, it's going to be energetic, and it's going to give a big vision of how we can live amazingly well in the midst of such a unique time as this in history.
Hmm. Oh man, it's going to be powerful. I cannot wait to hear about that. Tell us a little bit about your Saturday morning general session titled Legendary.
Yeah. So I did a series. I have a podcast called Daily Thunder, and this last year I did a tribute series to my father. So it was around a 9 episode series, each one about an hour long, and it was one of the most beautiful things I think I had ever walked through in my life as a child was to pay tribute to my parents. I mean, it was both of my parents, but it was specifically on my dad. My dad was an ordinary guy who made an extraordinary impact. And I think that is so encouraging because most of us feel like we have to be extraordinary in our makeup, in our nature, in our wit, in our intelligence, in our skill set. When in
Hmm.
actuality, God is looking for ordinary men and women to just say, "Hey, I'm available. Can you use me to impact these kids? Can you use me to impact my workplace? Can you use me to impact this world?" And that's what Legendary is about. It's that vision of how God takes people like us to turn the world upside down.
Oh, that's going to be a powerful way as we close up the conference. But really, we'll have a whole day ahead of everyone on Saturday. So that'll be wonderful. So, Eric, now I want to ask you a little bit more of a personal question. How has homeschooling positively impacted your family?
Hmm. Well, I need to count the ways. There's so many things about homeschooling that I would say are so superior to the other models. I mean, I grew up in the public school system. I actually built a private school for my kids, and now we homeschool. So you could say I've tried a lot of different models and seen a lot of different models. One of the things I love most about homeschooling is its flexibility. We just got back from the Dominican Republic on a missions trip, and I still remember one of the first questions is like, "So wait a minute, how are your kids able to come here right now?" Because we were able to catch their off season, which is always a dream as a homeschooler, is you can catch the off season instead of the on season. And so we were on a missions trip at a place which would typically have around 200 people in their full season, and there was around 15 people there, and it was perfect. Everything about it was wonderful. The amount of time where I'm able to invest in my kids because of the locale. I mean, I work at home. I mean, I have a lot of benefits in my life because I work at home and my kids are, in a sense, working at home. I have a ministry and they're a part of our ministry. And so I'm able to include them in things that they wouldn't be able to be included in. So their education is like a hyper version of an education because it's hands on. They are able to travel with me, they're able to do things and learn things at that extra dimension instead of just hearing about, Washington, D.C. in a book. Why don't you come with me?
Yeah.
And that dimension, anyone who's been homeschooled and or does homeschooling understands that incredible opportunity that exists to sort of give that deeper dimensionality to learning as opposed to just the book. And so there's so many positives. I mean, let alone the fact that my kids are able to be apart from so many things, the agendas of this world, and be able to be trained to see those agendas for what they actually are, and then to be able to address them with a biblical mindset. I mean, hey,
Mhm.
who wouldn't want that? And so, so
Right.
many, so many things to get excited about when it comes to homeschooling.
Mhm. You're right. The benefits, there's just multitudes of them. I mean, we cannot count them. It's just such a blessing. One of the things my husband and I have always said is we will never regret the time we invest in our children. No, you never hear one at the grocery store saying, "Man, I spent so much time with my kids." All those little grandmas are putzing around saying, "Oh, it goes so fast, honey. Capture every minute." And that's while you're like sweating and the toddler is screaming and you're like, "Yes, I'm trying to capture this moment." But really, it's so true, right?
Oh,
We will never regret this time that we've invested in them, in that spiritual growth, physical growth, emotional, all of those things that we can train them up in the ways of the Lord, not the ways of the world. So there's so many blessings in it, Eric. So the last question I have for you is why does attending an in-person homeschooling conference have value?
well, I mean, we're in the Zoom age now, and Zoom can try and do its best to mimic in person, and it just cannot. I mean, I run an in-person collegiate training here, a discipleship training here in Windsor, Colorado, and I've had the thought over time. It's like, is online or is this, online version of things? Because homeschool Czech uses homeschooling, or I'm sorry, online training just as much as we do. There's nothing wrong with online training. It's just it cannot replace in person. And so there's something, and I remember when we were going through COVID and churches were not meeting, and I was like, we have to meet. There is no other option. There is no way of fulfilling the purpose of the church unless you're actually meeting. So
Right.
I brought up the concept of presence,
Mm.
that there is something about presence, and it's not just the presence of God, it is the presence of one another. And there's something about that that cannot be replaced in and through a Zoom call. I do a ton of Zoom calls. So
Right.
it's not that I'm not familiar with that territory.
Right.
And it is a tremendous blessing that we even have the potential to do this interview
Yeah.
right now via Zoom. It's great, and we're both happy that we either I don't need to drive down to Denver, or you don't need to drive up to Windsor. That's wonderful, but it still doesn't replace the level of community, like-mindedness, the cultivation of affections, how they are cultivated in presence. And I think when you see a group of people at a homeschool conference that are all of a like mind, it gives you a certain energy. It
Mhm.
makes you feel normal, even if it's just for a day or two,
Yeah.
because that's one of the things the enemy is always trying to warp is our perception. that we are abnormal instead of the fact that no, the world is abnormal, the kingdom of heaven is normal, and I want to live in agreement with God. So when you are able to gather with a whole bunch of people that are quote unquote abnormal like you, it allows you to feel normal again. And so, as strange as that is for an explanation, but it is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Conferences, gathering,
Hmm.
is a gift that God has given us, and the fact that we even have the civil liberties still to do it is a wonderful privilege. Let's take advantage of it.
Amen. Amen. Yeah. Well, everyone can see you guys, Thursday as well as Saturday at the Rocky Mountain Homeschool Conference. Don't forget that both Ellerslie and Set Apart Ministries will have a booth there right behind Pint Brothers, you guys. So stop by and check out things that Eric and Leslie can provide there as far as resources and encouragement. You guys, it is not too late to register for the Rocky Mountain Homeschool Conference. Just head over to our website and click register now. We are super excited to fellowship with you all there. Have a good day.